What's going on, everyone? Talen here, and welcome to another Marvel Future Fight video, but this time we're going to be starting a new kind of series that I'm planning here, and basically this is going to be looking at a character's potential in PvE content, or at least that's going to be the main focus for this one here. What I'm planning on doing is trying to get like an even playing field for most of the characters so that I can kind of compare them, at least on my account here, and then that can give you guys also a good idea of how the characters stack up against each other, because of course I'll have the same kind of cards and relative stats on the characters. I'll be maxing out, of course, the ignore, defense, and skill cooldown as the main things. Besides that, some of the other stats will vary, like my crit rate, crit damage, and obelisks, but you should still be able to get a good idea of how the characters may stack up against each other. The way I'm going to be testing them is going to be in World Boss Ultimate. I'm going to be doing a Giant Boss Raid, and I'll be doing ABX. So those are going to be the three that I'm planning on doing right now. If there are other game modes that you would like to see added to this kind of series or this video, feel free to let me know. But for now, those are kind of the easiest ones, I think, to gauge a character on. And what I'm going to be doing is kind of showing off the like a baseline potential for the character, and then a maxed out potential for the character in terms of the team ups. So the character itself may not be a max build, as in Medusa here does not have like a CTP of rage on her or something like that. She just has a standard obelisk. So you will have to kind of keep that in mind if later down the line I use a character that has a CTP of rage. Of course, that character is going to seem better, but you can kind of get an idea. Okay, well, Medusa with a CTP or with a regular obelisk here did, you know, X as well as some characters with rage or something like that. So hopefully you're kind of understanding what I'm trying to say here, but Medusa is going to be the first character that I'm going to be trying this out on. I'm going to go over my build on the character, and then I'll give you like a general idea of the skill rotation that I like to use on the character, and then hopefully we'll just go from there, and you'll get more of an idea of how the test is going to work. And once I start doing this a little more often, or getting more characters out with this series, more videos of different characters, I will put together kind of a spreadsheet that will show the numbers for all the characters, so you have kind of a value for how much damage per minute they do in Galactus, and then you can get an idea of how they compare to each other. And I'll do that for a base team up where I just have a lead and a support as what I'm going to do as like a base, and then for the maxed out, I'm going to do whatever's the best lead and best team up that they can do for Galactus. So that'll be kind of the two different values there. And then for World Boss Ultimate, I'm mainly just going to be trying them out with kind of like a standard team up, and then maybe a debuff lead if they could take advantage of it. But I'm not going to be doing like a ton of kind of like one-shot mechanics or things where you do like unique situations for the character. For Medusa here, you can do a one-shot team, which I will mention, but that's not going to be the main focus here. I do have her at level 70, and that's mainly going to be the criteria that I'm going to use for these videos right now, because I am doing GBR as one of my kind of barometers for the characters. They need to be at level 70, so I'm going to be going through my level 70 roster first, and then maybe I'll just take out GBR and do some level 60s, but I'll probably have enough level 70s to keep this going for a little while. In the case of Medusa here, I do have her transcended and awakened, but I might have some characters at level 70 that aren't necessarily transcended, or they may have their tier 3 available, but I did not tier 3 them, but I'm still going to test them out because they are level 70. So hopefully I'm not rambling on too much here. So I'm just going to be showing my build on Medusa here, because she is transcended and awakened, or her potential has been transcended. All of her gears are 25 because I needed to do that. We have some Urus on her. I actually have 2 Odin's Blessings on there. I don't even remember which ones those are. What are those? Oh, for crit damage. So physical attack and crit damage. For her skills here, I have everything leveled up except for skill 1 and skill 2. For Isolate set, we have a stage 6 Power of Angry Hulk, and then you already saw the obelisk. I have a guard break immunity, 200% proc, and her uniform is at mythic. So that's what my Medusa is looking like here. We could take a quick peek at the details, you can see my ignore, defense, and skill cooldown are maxed out. Attack speed is pretty much maxed out. My crit rate and crit damage are lacking a little bit there, and I don't remember, did she get a buff for, yeah, she did get a crit rate buff by 45%, so her crit rate's actually fine. Crit damage is just a little lower, so I might have to work on that. And she does have all defense down here that ignores immunity, so that's something that's you can keep in mind there. It works well with a debuff lead if you want to go that route. And then also, if we look at the 4th skill, it has silence, and then the 5th skill, was it the 5th skill? Yeah, the 5th skill has paralysis. So those are 2 very important things that will make her usable in ABX. I mean, I haven't, as the time of doing this intro, done my ABX run to see how well she'll perform there, but both of those skills, because as you know, the Frost Beast has modifiers that kind of rotate around. Previously it was silence, it just rolled over to paralyze, so now characters with paralysis can knock him out of a phase where he kind of buffs up and he goes into that stage where he increases his defense. So now we can use her skill 5 to knock him out of that, but previously we could be using the skill 4 when he was vulnerable to silence to knock him out of that. And what's really cool about Medusa is both her 4th and 5th skill apply those status effects at the very start of the skill, so you don't have to wait for the skill to fully animate. You have to wait for some kind of shenanigans to happen in between the skill to hit the boss and actually apply the effect. They will apply immediately, so you can knock the Frost Beast out right away. So that's fantastic, because I've had a few issues with characters where I have to wait for the silence at the end of the skill, and then by then the Frost Beast had already buffed himself up and I was kind of out of luck. So yeah, that's Medusa here, and I believe, did you have all defense down here? It's still minus 50. Okay, so still minus 50 on her awakening skill. And then what's the other thing? We need to go over the skill rotation. So let's go over the skill rotation, and then we'll hop into some of the content here to test her out to see what her damage is like. And then hopefully as the series progresses, we'll have some other characters to compare her to. All right, so the skill rotation that I generally use for Medusa, if we looked at her skill cooldowns, which I forgot to show, all of her skill cooldowns are quite long, so it is a little more difficult to kind of time a rotation with a damage proc with her. So I generally just take what I can get for the most part. You're always going to be using 3 no matter what before whatever skill you proc on, because you want all the buffs from the 3rd skill. So we go here, we get the buffs, and as you can see, she only attacks at the very end. So if you need to stall, you get the immunity as well. So if you need to stall, you can do that and wait for another skill to come off a cooldown or whatever. But generally I do 3, and then I go into 4. That gets you all defense down. As soon as she lands right there at the hair, I go into 5. And then I will just kite around until there's just a couple seconds left on, or a couple seconds on 4, and then I go to 3, and then I do 4, and I just repeat the process. You can use the first skill after, so after you do 5 here, when you have to kite around, if you see that there's like 1 second or 2 seconds left on the 3rd skill and maybe you're getting into trouble, or if you just want to start your attack, you can do the first skill because we have an iframe at the start there, and then you can cancel into the 3rd skill. And when you have the awakening skill available, generally what I like to do is 3, you hit 5, get like 2 hits on the 5, you get that little bit of paralysis there, which at least holds the boss for a couple seconds. Nothing too crazy, but it can make a difference in getting more hits in off of your 6th skill or your awakening skill. So that's generally how I like to play Medusa. So now let's go ahead and move on to some of the in-game fights here and see what kind of damage she does. Alright, so over here at World Boss Ultimate, we have a stage 70 Proxima, which seems to be about as high as my current Medusa can go in terms of her build. This is kind of one of the better teams to use for her if you're going to be, you know, going for a higher stage. We have the debuff lead, we have Coulson there for his just his passive and support, and then for the strikers we just go with damage strikers. I do tend to put a healing striker in all the time. I could definitely optimize this a little bit more, which I probably should. I could just put all of the kind of cosmic power strikers there instead of just the leadership characters, because the striker damage is going to be not really that high, so I could throw that in, but A little too lazy to do that right now, and that only going to get me like, what, 2, 4, 6, 6% more damage, 8% more damage, somewhere along those lines. So let's go ahead and start this up here. All right, so we switch over. We do 3, we do 5, and then we go right into the awakening skill. It looks like, did we proc a little early there? Yes, we did proc a little early there. Then we just do 4 there for protection, and then we can go into 3 and 5. So you kind of just modify your skill rotation depending on what is off of cooldown. And generally, if I can, I would like to get the proc to, of course, happen on the 5th skill. So it looks like there we go. We get some damage there from that one. You can see the damage is just fine here at stage 70. So with this current setup and my current build on her, she can do stage 70 here. It is going to be a longer fight, so keep that in mind. And if I didn't keep having my obelisk proc immediately, because I'm literally getting like 2 or 3 hits from that 5th skill, and that's enough for it to proc apparently. Sometimes I'll go like full rotations and never get a damage proc, and then right now I get a damage proc after 1 hit. So a little bit annoying, but what you gonna do? But anyway, as you can see, she can do this stage, so we'll go ahead and back out here. And then for comparison, the one-shot team that you can do with her is basically you just switch her over to lead, take out Doc Voodoo here, and then put in Iron Man, and that is now the one-shot team. And surprisingly, it's pretty similar in terms of how high she go up to with the stages. So stage 70 again is about the highest I can go with this particular team. You are going to need to use weapon hex, so that is mandatory. So you will need her as a striker to be able to do this. And then you can use any mind control striker that you want. I just have Doctor Strange here, but you can use any mind control striker that's got like 4 or 5 second mind control. And then basically what you do for the one shot here is you just load in, you hit the team up button, you hit the 3rd skill, and then you hit your awakening skill, and then you hope that it's going to be enough damage, which generally this isn't quite enough damage, but she is more than capable of finishing off Proxima, so I don't really have to worry about that. So let's see, here we go. Oh, well, the time freeze apparently didn't work, but generally if that continues to hit her, it will either be a one-shot or I tend to leave her with just 2 bars left, and Medusa is more than capable of finishing off those 2 bars. If I go up higher in stages, it ends up leaving too many bars, and then since I don't have a debuff lead, the damage falls off too much, and it just ends up being a little bit too long for Medusa. So she's capping out around stage 70 for me. With this one-shot combo, I might be able to push a little bit higher, maybe like 72 to 74, but that's about where she is going for me. So that is her World Boss Ultimate kind of potential here. Against Proxima, the one-shot combo will work against other world bosses. Alright, so here we are at stage 65 of Coal Obsidian, just to show you that this team works here as well. Same team, same strikers, except that we now have Rachel there instead of Doctor Strange. But again, just throw in a mind control there and you're going to be good. And I was really surprised that she was actually doing better against Coal than Proxima. I have no idea why, because this is stage 65 and Coal is harder to kill or harder to one-shot than Proxima. And yet I can barely do 70 of Proxima, but Coal at 65 seems to be working fine. But if you leave him with any health bars, you're not going to be able to take him down, so do keep that in mind. All right, let him do that. Oh, we procced early. Why did our... Oh, no, we didn't. There we go. And I think it's... Yep, just barely gets him. So at the end there, that explosion of Iceman is enough to finish him off. But there, as you can see, Medusa's one shot, or at least this team, works out really well for pretty much any world boss. You're going to have difficulties trying to do this with with Thanos, I think, is going to be the one that's going to give you the most problems. If you do Corvus, it's going to be a 2-shot, but Corvus has high immunity, so it might be difficult with Corvus as well. But anyway, this team will work on most world bosses, provided you do a low enough stage that you can one-shot or get them close to dying so that you can finish them off with Medusa at the end, and you will need the Awakening skill to be able to do this. So that's going to be Medusa here in World Boss Ultimate, so let's move on to the next one. So here we are loading into our first attempt here, or our first team with Medusa. And like I said, I was going to do a standard team where I just have a lead and a single support. But Medusa is a self-buffing lead, and she has her own support for a 45%. So I'm basically just using her with just 2 random teammates there with no support. So this team looks bad. It's because it is bad. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but for the sake of being consistent for getting damage or getting some values for the characters here, I want to test every character with a 45% lead and then just a 45% increased damage to supervillain support there. And since she has both of those built in, I'm just doing 2 random teammates here. But after this run, we are going to show her with a ideal team up for her, so like full potential. So you want to stick around for that. I'm not going to be showing all of this. I'm just talking through the beginning here, but I'm not going to, of course, clear this because I want to use Medusa again. And then we're just going to get an average of how much damage she did to Galactus. So we'll probably just go to the end screen here and see how much she, or I'll show a cut before I force quit my game of how much damage she did after a certain amount of time. Alright, so now we're loading in with a more optimal team with Medusa here. As you can see with just that other team with the 45 lead and 45 support, she did around 15 million damage in 3 minutes, so it's about 5 million damage a minute. So let's see how much better she can do here. We've got the 65% lead from Black Bolt, and then we have Nick Fury there with his 50% increase passive. Okay, so we're pretty much just going to try to keep doing the same thing here. I'm probably just going to skip ahead again to the final results to see how much damage she managed to do this time around with a better team up. Alright, well, we ended up clearing this one. I wasn't really expecting to clear it. I just wanted to go the same 3 minutes that I did last time. And look at that, pretty much exactly 3 minutes, 2 minutes and 58 seconds. And this time we ended up doing 26 million instead of just 15 million. So that's 10 million or 11 million more damage with this team up here. So that's quite substantial in terms of the damage boost here. And of course, Medusa is well capable of clearing Galactus. She could do more than 1/3 of the damage. In just this 3 minutes here, she did about 1/3 of his life. So she is going to be a strong option here because she has some really nice just raw damage. So now we're going to move on to the next test. Alright, so now we're moving on to Alliance Battle here. So here we have Alliance Battle Extreme, and as you can see, Paralyze is the boss's weakness, and Medusa, as you saw, has Paralyze on her 5th skill, and it does activate at the very start of the 5th skill, so we should be able to take advantage of that and cancel out the Frost Beast quite easily. We're going with Black Bolt lead here, and then we have Ghost Panther for his tier 2 support, and Ghost Panther is going to be better than Phyla-Vell just because Phyla-Vell boosts energy attack. So yeah, she's a physical damage dealer, so that's why you're going to want to use Ghost Panther here. So let's go ahead and hop in here and see what kind of score we can put up with Medusa. So the main thing that we need to worry about here is just making sure that we have the 5th skill available when the Frost Beast is going to go into his buffing stage. so that we can be ready for that. So let's just get to work here. Just start spamming some skills. Hopefully not get interrupted here by any of the meteors, because I am not too proficient in alliance battle because I don't play it too often. You can take advantage of her first skill and use that whenever you see the frost beast about to hit you, because you can hop into that iframe there, as he should be doing. Oh nope, let's just hop into this. That's kind of a panic skill right there. Where's my proc? No proc. See if we get the proc here. There we go. Alright, so he should be going pretty soon, so we need to save our 5th skill here. Because I believe he goes, there it is, so just use the 5th skill, and now we should cancel him out. There we go. Very good. Because I think we canceled out. I didn't see it say he buffed up, so let's just keep going here. Because it should say if you fail to cancel him out of it, it should say like the Frostbeast's armor thickens or hide thickens, or it should say something along those lines, which I didn't notice it say it, and it says it right below his health bar. So I'll have to make sure, but it looks like we're still doing good damage, so I don't think that we messed that up, but I didn't see the blue around his health bar actually break, so that was kind of interesting. Yeah, and for the Frost Beast here, I'm pretty much just spamming all the skills, so now he should be, usually when he goes to the center, there it is, so now we go ahead and use our 5th skill. There we go, we broke him out of it. This time we can see he has staggered, he's got the little stun animation, which I didn't notice that last time, so maybe we weren't quick enough on getting that. Do the Awakening skill, which I did a little bit late. I could have used the Awakening skill like 1 skill rotation ago, but yeah, I decided to hold off there. Oh yeah, we do have the team up that I could have used to get a little extra damage. Oh, her team up is the 5th skill. That's actually pretty nice. So you can save the team up skill for if you get into trouble and you need that for when a Frost Beast is going to go into that stage. So here we go. Boom. That should break him out of it. There we go. Let's buff up. And that little whip from the 5th, or from the 3rd skill, of course, triggered my obelisk, which is really annoying, so we missed our damage proc on the Awakening skill. So this is not going to be the cleanest run, but it'll give you an idea of what kind of score Medusa can put up here in ABX. Alright, just 2 seconds. Can we get another hit in? Oh, almost. So was that 2.2 million or 2.25? All right, yeah, so that's actually not bad. That's a pretty good score there. So yeah, Medusa did quite well against the Frost Beast here. Again, really nice to have that paralysis and silence, so you can build her up and use her for 2 different kind of rotations of the Frost Beast, because he'll rotate between those different debuff effects. I'm not really sure what the other ones were. I think Burn was one of them. So Burn, Silence, and Paralyze, but I can't remember if there's any more. They might add some more in the future, but it might only be 3 for now. But anyway, that's Medusa here in Alliance Battle Extreme. So let's go ahead and wrap this up, and I'll give you my final thoughts on Medusa here in PvE content. So conclusion here, or final thoughts on Medusa, is she's a very, very powerful PvE character when she is transcended here. So her Awakening skill is quite strong. She does really good damage on her own as well. So even if you just get her to level 70 and you don't have her Awakening skill, she will perform well for you, but you kind of need that Awakening skill to push her to the next level, and then that unlocks your ability to get her potential transcended, which that stat bump really does help. So do keep that in mind. What you saw here today was Medusa with her potential transcended, so pretty much fully upgraded in terms of how much you can rank her up. So if you just have, one of the steps, or you're partially there, you might have different results, even if you have similar cards and similar attack stats as I do on Medusa here. In terms of like the physical attack, I have 25k physical attack for reference. And for World Boss Ultimate, She's very strong with just a debuff lead and can do Proxima quite well, and then she does have potential to do a one-shot team which will work on multiple world bosses, so if that appeals to you, then she's a good fit there, but you will need weapon hex to be able to do that, so keep that in mind. For giant boss raid, she is very powerful there as well. She can clear Galactus just fine. She can do way more than a third of the damage. She can pull half of the damage if need be, and maybe even a little more than that. With my current build, she can get pretty close to actually soloing. If I kind of multiply out the numbers there, she could probably do like 75 or 80% of his health in the full 10 minutes. So that's quite nice here, considering I do just have a standard obelisk on her. And because of her skill cooldowns, keep in mind she's not even too obelisk proc friendly. She would benefit a little bit more from ACTP of Rage, so that you could just have that activation, but as you saw, she performs just fine with the regular obelisk here, so you don't really have to worry too much about that. If you're worried about not having a CTP and you really wanted to rank up Medusa, she'll still perform just fine without a CTP equipped on her. So I believe that's everything. And then Alliance Battle Extreme, 2.25 million is actually pretty nice. For me in particular, that is a good score. I'm not really sure the reference to other players, but with my current cards and stats on characters, my account level, that kind of stuff, getting 2.25 million is, you know, up there in terms of what my characters are capable of. I think for reference, my Captain Marvel gets my Captain Marvel with a CTP of Rage gets around 4 million, or yeah, she gets about 4 million, maybe even a little less than 4 million, if that gives you any kind of reference there. But again, I'm going to be doing this test for multiple characters, multiple level 70s. Medusa just happens to be the first one here, and as the series progresses, I will keep updating the spreadsheet that I'll have linked in the description below, that'll compare the characters' values and damage stats that we got. Since this is the first video, you might not see that spreadsheet down there right away if you're watching this video within like the first week or even 2 weeks of it coming out. You might want to wait until there's a few more episodes out, and then you'll notice that pop up, because I will update the description to include a link to the spreadsheet once I have a few more characters to actually put on it. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this kind of new series. It is going to be a longer video because I'm going over more stuff here and trying to put it into one and maybe talk a little bit more about the characters. This particular video is going to be one of the longer ones just because I'm introducing this series for the first time. Let me know if you think I should adjust anything, if I should change things, if you just even don't want me to do the step where I'm showing the kind of baseline team against Galactus, where I just use a 45% leadership with a 45% support. If you just want me to skip that and just go to max potential kind of team up for them, where I do like my Nick Fury Coulson with the DPS or something like that, because that's probably going to be one of the most common teams for hero characters, is going to be Nick Fury, because he has that lead and a 50% increase to super villains from his passive, and then we of course can throw in another support with them. If they have leadership, then that would be White Fox. So you kind of get the idea for what I mean for max team formation. But I liked the idea of doing the 45 and a single support, because then I can have a baseline for all characters to kind of compare them to on the spreadsheet there, to get a little bit of an idea of what the raw damage is like. Anyway, let me know in the comments below anything that you, like I said, think you want me to change about this, what you like about this, and all of that. But hopefully you enjoyed, and of course I will catch you in the next one.